All right, 3:30, y'all. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Before the Four. I'm digital host A.J. Wuest, welcoming you back. This is the final Before the Four of this week, as I will be heading out of town tomorrow and then taking Friday off. But regardless, I hope you all are having a great day, and thank you for spending a bit of your Wednesday afternoon here. Now, we have quite a bit to jump into today, so I say it is about time we start things off. And let's begin in Huntsville on Redstone Arsenal, where earlier today, FBI Director Kash Patel, along with Senators Katie Britt and Tommy Tuberville, visited and held a press conference to discuss future plans for Huntsville and the Arsenal as far as the direction goes for moving the FBI moving forward. Now, in one of his first orders of business as the FBI director, he ordered 500 staffers to be transferred to the Arsenal from Washington, D.C. He says now he wants to see additional moves to the Rocket City. Take a listen.
Look, it's truly an honor to be here, and it is one of my first field visits. The Redstone Arsenal is one of the gems in the FBI crown jewel. It truly is. And one of the things that we've been working on together is to tackle violent crime across the country. But in order to do that, you need a place for people and experts to train. That's right here in Redstone. You need a place for people to live in a community that's safe. That's right here in the state of Alabama, right here in Huntsville. These senators have been working tirelessly to shine the light on what Redstone Arsenal has been doing. And so I'm so appreciative that they let me come down and visit it with them. And I just want to let America know, part of the move to get FBI agents and intel analysts and support staff out in the field is going to come right through Redstone Arsenal. We are going to put more and more and more people here on a permanent basis from the FBI. By the end of the year, we're going to have over 500 more FBI full-time employees living, not part-time, coming here, moving here, working here, living in your communities. And they're going to do the thing that Coach and Senator Britt said. We're going to get after violent crime. We're going to crush down the narcotics trade. We're going to seal up our borders, but we're also going to train our interagency partners, and we're going to train our international partners, because the capabilities down the street, I've been in government a long time, they don't exist anywhere else. And the space doesn't exist anywhere else. And we don't need to rebuild it, because y'all had some great senators before you that were smart enough and had the foresight to build it right here in Redstone. So I'm humbled to be with you, Katie, and you, Coach. And I made them promise me one thing. I got to go to an Alabama-Auburn game with them. But I'm not going to pick a side on who's winning. Thanks, all.
Any questions?
And of course, that was FBI Director Kash Patel. 48's Callie Neese will have more details regarding the FBI Director's visit today coming up in our evening newscast. You're just not going to want to miss it. But now let's head into the latest we're seeing on the radar here in the Tennessee Valley. The threat of thunderstorms still linger for later today, moving into the evening hours. 48 First Alert Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis has a look at your latest forecast. Brad?
Well, showers and thunderstorms are becoming strong and numerous out there. We've had that break. We expected the sunshine, and that's why the storms are a little bit stronger, more robust, slow moving at that too. Current temperatures, it's rain cooled in some areas where we're in the lower 70s, but elsewhere we're well on our way back up into the low 80s. In Decatur, you can look to the south. You can see that big thunderstorm just off in the distance. That's over Priceville, moving northeast into the city of Huntsville. So get ready for that one. I'll zoom into the radar here. Again, keep in mind this is just before 3:30 this afternoon, this Wednesday. Other strong storms near Langston, south of Scottsboro, probably producing pea-sized hail. But these storms continue to slowly grow and develop and move to the north. So a danger, especially for lightning out there. So be careful of that. We're kind of seeing the coverage expand area wide. More storms down to our southwest. Those will all track north. Quiet day on the Gulf Coast, though. They have to deal with some rip currents, though. Here's your next 12-hour stormy weather through about 10 o'clock tonight, and then another break and perhaps more fog overnight tonight. Quick look at 4 o'clock this afternoon. We continue to see the blow up of these thunderstorms. Notice the boundary coming in and shifting north. That's what's going to lead to widespread showers and thunderstorms. Can't rule out some strong and potentially severe thunderstorms at times with isolated damaging winds and larger hail. We'll just have to see how this all comes together. Over the next 24 hours, we see a repeat of more showers and storms tomorrow.
Well, thank you, Brad. And now a story, in case you missed it, out of Huntsville. Yesterday, a former Huntsville City Schools employee accused of having sex with a student pled guilty in court. 48's Margot Gray with more.
I feel grateful that justice has been served.
The now 23-year-old Hannah White says she's glad her former junior ROTC instructor took accountability for what he did. It was when she was a student at Lee New Century High School. She says 59-year-old Dwayne Yarbrough groomed and sexually abused her while she was a high school student. He was indicted by a grand jury last year. He sat in court Monday as White began her testimony, but he abruptly stopped his trial with White back on the stand Tuesday, entering a surprise guilty plea.
And having him take accountability for what was done is a representation and an example to be set for everyone that has experienced sexual abuse or grooming from a teacher in a school system where they're supposed to take care of and provide protection and support for students, especially vulnerable and at-risk youth.
Now, White has a message for others who might find themselves facing the same situation she did from her high school instructor.
Believe in yourself and just believe in yourself and stand up for what you believe in is right.
And now moving out to Ardmore, where a mother of a teen who sadly lost her life to substance abuse is speaking out. Her 18-year-old daughter's body was found last Friday at her classmate Jonathan Etter's home. Etter is now facing a slew of drug charges as well as manslaughter for her death and is being held at the Limestone County Jail. 48's Callie Neese with more.
Ashley Bachnia, Ava Bachnia's mother, told me that Ava was a teacher's pet. She was funny and she loved to crochet. But after a car accident about 2 years ago, Ava began to struggle with addiction. Ashley tells me Ava had been in and out of rehab for fentanyl usage. She says Ava was doing much better and had checked out of rehab just days before she disappeared. Ashley tells me the night before Ava was reported missing, she had an inkling to check on her in her room around midnight. That's when she realized Ava was not there. Ashley says that is when she reached out to Ava's old classmate, Jonathan Etter, and he told her that Ava had been there that night. Ava's body was found in Etter's home not long after Ava's mom reported her missing. He was arrested and is now facing drug and abuse of a corpse charges. He's still in the Limestone County Jail on an $11,000 bond. Ashley told me she called the sheriff's office Thursday afternoon to report her missing, and later that day, deputies came back to tell her the news.
They went immediately to his house and they actually came back about 8:30 that night, and I was in shock, disbelief. I don't really have any way to describe it.
Ashley says that Ava had a lot of life left to live, and she misses her very much.
And I just wish she could have, stayed clean, and she had so much potential to really do a lot in life. Like I said, she was a bright, smart, funny, wonderful person that everybody loved.
Limestone County Coroner Mike Wuest says Ava's cause of death is still pending a toxicology report. I reached out to Limestone County Sheriff's Office officials to find out if there's any new updates on this investigation, and I am still waiting to hear back. Reporting in Elkmont, Callie Neese, 48 News, on your side.
Such a sad situation, and as Callie said, we'll continue to keep you updated as we learn more regarding this situation. But now the family of a Huntsville man who was killed while sleeping in his apartment 2 years ago is demanding answers. Yesterday, 48's Faith Delp spoke with the widow of that man, who says the search is still ongoing for her husband's killer. Faith Delp reports.
Robin Gillum was in bed with her husband Andrew when he was shot. She says losing her husband was the worst thing that has ever happened to her, and knowing his killer is still out there only makes her feel worse. Robin just wants answers, and her family is offering a $25,000 reward to anyone who can get them.
So the last thing I heard him say was call 911.
Robin Gillum recalls the day her husband Andrew was murdered. Around 3 a.m. on January 4th, 2023, while they were both sleeping, someone fired several shots at their Sun Lake at Edgewater apartment building. One of the bullets crashed through the Gillum's window and hit Andrew. She remembers waking up confused to Andrew telling her to call 911.
I honestly thought it was fireworks to start with. So it's been really hard to just deal with that, but ultimately I am thankful that Christ has just been my joy and peace through it.
The 27-year-old aerospace engineer was rushed to the hospital and later died from his injuries. Huntsville police have searched for his killer ever since, but have not been able to find them. Robin remembers Andrew as quiet, wise, and funny. She says she never doubted his love for her in their 2 years of marriage.
He loved the Lord, and you could tell through his actions and just the way he treated me. He always was very loving towards me, and I never had any doubt that he loved me. And we had fun together. We goofed off a lot.
Robin says the family is only going to offer this $25,000 reward until the end of May. If the killer is not found, a majority of that money will go to a scholarship in honor of Andrew. Anyone who has any information is encouraged to contact Crime Stoppers. Reporting in Huntsville, Faith Delp 48 News, on your side.
Well, now coming up after the break, a street name in Decatur getting changed to remember the life of Steve Perkins, growth in the city of Arab, and how a snake bite that could have killed a man actually ended up saving his life. It's all ahead. I'll be right back in 1 minute. All right, well, hello everyone and welcome back to Before the Four. I see we have some comments here on Facebook. We got one from Mia and one from Matthew talking about the weather radar. Now, we have already turned over to First Alert Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis, who gave the latest weather update. But also make sure to stay tuned to our evening newscast as well as Weather Extra, which is going on tonight at 9:30 for the latest. You can also rewind and watch the radar and watch Brad's hit. But now we are turning over to news. Now, some Decatur residents are proposing to rename the street where Steve Perkins was shot and killed to Steve Perkins Drive. Now, last night, the Decatur Planning Commission unanimously approved the renaming of Ryan Drive to Steve Perkins Drive. 48's Nick Ballinger spoke with the organizers of that name change. Take a listen.
Thunderous applause filled the Decatur City Council chambers as City Planning Board members voted unanimously to rename Ryan Drive after Steve Perkins.
We're continuing to keep his name alive.
Nearly 20 months after Perkins was shot and killed by a Decatur police officer in 2023, Sharonda Ackland is pushing for the change. The idea to change Ryan Drive, where Perkins was killed, to Steve Perkins Drive started just as that, an idea.
It was just someone mentioned it, and as a collective, we're like, that's a great idea.
However, the change hasn't been met with unanimous approval from neighbors. Everyone who lives on Ryan Drive has to be asked about the change. 75% approval is needed. So far, 31 residents have said yes and one person has said no, leaving this petition 3 yeses short for now.
I said what I said because it's painful. We don't even go down that street anymore.
Brandy Taylor is the mother of Perkins' niece and doesn't want the name changed.
So it has nothing to do with not wanting to honor his memory. It's painful to see that. His wife, bless her heart, and the kids haven't even come back to the house to stay there. I understand why.
It will be a constant reminder. However, every time I drive down the street, I'm reminded.
Ackland says 11 of the residents weren't asked because they are just renting. So they'll now have to reach out to the owners of the properties if they want those 3 yeses. But she sees the planning board's unanimous approval as a sign of good faith by the city.
To know that the board agrees and sees no issue with this, it definitely warms my heart.
And now moving out to Arab, where the city is breaking ground on a brand new project to keep up with the city's growth. The project totals $11 million. 48 Savannah Sapp reports.
Life through Willow Dobbins, a curveball. Life through Willow Dobbins, a curveball.
That is 1 second, y'all. That is a preview for later on in the show. Let me go ahead and play the Arab growth from 48 Savannah Sapp and play this clip.
Just 18 months, the city of Arab's parks will have a brand new 38,000 square foot recreation center that will be complete with volleyball courts, basketball courts, and even meeting rooms. Now, despite its size, Mayor Bob Jocelyn tells me this is just a small portion of a large effort to help support population growth within the city. Jocelyn tells me the city of Arab's population has grown by roughly 1,000 people in the last year, and he expects that number to keep rising. But he says the city needed a roadmap to help get them there as more people look to move in. So the city's planning department has released a survey to Arab residents to learn more about what they want to see in the city. Jocelyn tells me these responses will be used to develop a comprehensive plan which will help keep Arab thriving over the next 10 to 15 years. He tells me they've already received about 150 responses saying there's a need for even more recreation options, new housing, and of course entertainment. This new rec center, leaders say, will be the spark to make the city even bigger.
I don't know how to put it in words, but you know, this is just a building everybody in this town could take advantage of.
And that's a big issue for parents that's raising young kids. They want to have a good school system, want to have small town atmosphere, have good recreation facilities, and if you have things like that, you'll have good quality neighborhoods.
Construction on the new rec center is expected to take around 18 months. Those series of surveys are now public on the city's social platforms, and they will continue to receive responses over the next few months. Reporting in Arab, I'm Savannah Sapp, 48 News, on your side.
Well, good deal. And you saw the beginning of this next story I'm about to play for you all. A 5-year-old girl in Moulton has already overcame more than most people have in their entire lives. Willow Dobbins has beaten the odds twice after surviving cancer and a tragic lawn mowing accident that led to her losing part of her arm. But as a fighter, Willow has a spirit for swinging for the fences. After coming home from the hospital last week, the first thing she did was pick up a bat and ball to start playing as if nothing ever happened. 48 Sarah Grace Kennedy on her championship spirit. Take a look.
Life through Willow Dobbins, a curveball in 2022 when she was diagnosed with neuroblastoma after doctors found a tumor attached to her adrenal gland and spinal cord.
We woke up one Saturday morning and Willow couldn't walk, she couldn't talk, she couldn't even sit up without assistance.
Willow was also diagnosed with OMS, a very rare autoimmune disorder that impacts only 1 in 10 million children. Willow's mom, Brianna Dobbins, tells me that Willow has now been in remission since July of last year.
I ask myself why all the time, like, why Willow? Why does this have to happen to her? It was very, very hard. I saw every little kid her age just running and playing and, you know, doing things that she should have been doing. And then one morning she just got up and decided it was her time to walk. She just got up and started going, and ever since then she hasn't stopped.
Then earlier this month, life hit them with another tragic curveball. Willow was riding on a lawnmower with her mom when their family dog started running next to the lawnmower, trying to jump on it. Willow tried to grab their dog, but instead got struck by the lawnmower and lost her balance and flipped off.
I was very afraid after what happened. All I could think about was I had ruined her life. Like, there was no way that she could do the things that she done with one arm. You know, it took us forever just to get her to walk again and be a typical child, and it has helped me so much to know that it didn't slow her down, and it's not going to slow her down.
Willow lost her dominant arm in the accident. However, as you can see here, she's already picking up using her left hand.
She has her moments. Of course, you know, she wants to know why. She wants to know if it'll come back. She wants her hand back. But as far as her handling it, she's been a trooper.
This softball organization at East Lawrence has welcomed Willow back onto the fields with open arms. They even recently held a tournament to raise money to help the family with travel and medical expenses.
I was in tears just seeing the amount of people in our community willing to help, willing to do things for our family. Our girl really is loved in the community. To know Willow is to love Willow.
Such an awesome story there. And now when you live to be 100, no doubt you've lived a lot of life and collected a lot of stories. Today on The Good Side, Grace McDonald introduces us to a veteran from Nebraska who shares how something that could have killed him actually saved his life. Check it out.
Benny Wrinkle was born on the 13th of August, 100 years ago.
God, it's cold out here. Our two boys are 13 years apart, and we got married on the 13th.
And his wife, Verlene, is 13 years younger.
I was his 13th girlfriend.
Some peg the number 13 as unlucky, but this Polish farmer was lucky enough to get bit by a snake while fighting in World War II.
When I got up, my hand was swollen from here clear up to here. I mean, really swollen.
He spent time away from the infantry to recover in the med bay.
They put me on penicillin, and I took 36 shots of penicillin to clear the venom.
Then his captain picked him up to bring him back to the front lines of the Philippines.
And he said, your platoon was completely wiped out. So if you'd have been there, you'd have been a going platoon.
Benny survived to later drive a commander around Japan in a Jeep right after the A-bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
We got down about a quarter of a mile, and it was barricaded because radiation was so thick.
Benny bid farewell to war-torn Japan and returned to the Genoa area where he farmed until a decade ago.
I said, 68, that's too young. I said, I didn't quit work until I was 90.
Today, Benny and his wife Verlene go past his family's original farmstead anytime they attend Mass at the Catholic Church in Krakow. At 100 years old, Benny Wrinkle fills his days running occasional errands, drinking coffee with friends every day, and even mowing his own lawn.
This is my bigger tractor. I just use this one for the grass, and this is for the weeds.
He thinks his good health is because he's never smoked.
He doesn't want to drink water either.
Yeah, and her cooking put on this belly already.
Well, you don't get enough exercise now.
Benny Wrinkle may not have aches and pains, but he does have a dent in his finger to remind him of his good luck and his blessings.
So till today, I thank the good Lord and the snake that saved my life.
For Pure Nebraska, I'm Grace McDonald.
All right, and now let's turn over to the stories you're just not going to want to miss coming up in our evening newscast. Lauderdale County implementing the Handle with Care program at their schools. Aria Pons will have more details on that program coming up. Speaking with the family of the Decatur man who sadly passed away following an arrest last week. 48's Noah Cowell will have more details on that coming up. And of course, I know Miss Mia, Matt, and Jennifer in the comments on Facebook cannot wait for the evening forecast from, of course, 48 First Alert Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis. Also, don't forget Weather Extra coming up tonight at 9:30. Brad Travis back here in the CTV Center, and he'll be giving you all the latest he's seeing on the radar. but now it is time for Facebook fun. That is right, our 48 Facebook question of the day. What is something you started doing daily that has improved your life? And let's see what you all had to say. You all had some really good comments. And let's see, Donna, she said, having my clothes washed, hung, and ready to go for each day of the week. A nice cup of coffee. Sounds like a very good regimen right there. LaDonna, writing everything in my planner. 100%. I'm a very forgetful person, so when I'm not writing everything down, I am forgetting. That is great advice. Preston said taking fiber. That is always good. Lisa, stop drinking pop. Pop, Lisa, I don't know. You all watching at home, do you say pop, Coke, soda? What do you say when talking about soft drinks? But that is awesome. That is very great. Tracy said prayer, daily devotion, and worship. A popular comment for sure, and that will honestly add a lot of greatness in your life and take away a lot of stress for sure. But awesome comments, you all. That is just about it I have for today's Before the Four. But thank you all for sticking around with me and spending a bit of your Wednesday afternoon here. I will not be here tomorrow and Friday, so I hope you all have a great week. Whatever you decide to do, whether it's Panoply you do this weekend, hit up a Trash Panda game, have a great time. But enjoy tonight's evening newscast, and as always, thank you so much for watching.